And I said this last night because it's so true. You know, pastors' kids have it tough. They got it tough, but I refuse to believe we have it tougher than anybody else. You know, it's just different. It's a different kind of tough. It's not more difficult than anybody else's path. It's just different. And a lot of them, you see a lot of pastors' kids struggle. You see a lot of them choke. You see a lot of them make big mistakes and mess it up. And they really ruin a lot of credibility inside of pastors' homes. But I'm convinced. Now, I'm not saying 100% of the time, guys. Don't get me wrong. I don't like dealing with absolutes. But I would say a lot of the time, it's probably because that person, their parents are different at home than they are on stage. They're different. They're a different person with a mic in their hand than they are when they're at home by themselves with their kids or with their families. And I'm so grateful. I thank God every single day for my parents. I got great parents. But one of the things that makes them so unique is that my dad is the same person on stage as he is at my house. You know, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he is. He's the exact same person. He doesn't hold back on stage. He makes the same jokes on stage that he makes at home. He uses the same language on stage that he uses at home. You know, I've never seen him come home completely drunk and I've never seen him do anything to my mom. I've never, I'm just grateful because he was at home who he was on stage. And I never thought to myself, man, that liar, he's such a liar. Or, man, I wish he would say, what he said right there, man, I wish he did that at home. Those thoughts never came across to me because who he was when no one was looking was the same person he was when everyone was looking. And so it made it really easy on me because I had a great person who I could look at and say, that's the model of who I want to be like. That's the model of what a Christian should look like. So who are you when no one is looking? Number 2, who are you? What are your convictions? So I read number 1 again. What are your convictions? I truly believe that self-discovery is the only true discovery. I think there's nothing I could do to tell you what you need to do until you find out what you need to do. It doesn't matter. Mark 4:17 says this in the Message. Says, but there is such shallow soil of character that when the emotions wear off and some difficulty arise, there's nothing to show for it. Is your character so shallow that you hear a message and you get fired up, and then the moment you leave, the moment you walk out the doors, it's like, it's gone. It's away. This is Jesus telling these guys a parable about the message of Christ and how all the different soils and all the different things that it falls on, and how there are some that receive it and some that don't receive it, and all the different things he talks about. And this is one of the people groups that he's talking about, that they had such shallow character that they received the message and they got excited about it, and they have all of these emotions that's like, man, I'm fired up and I want to make changes, but yet their character was so shallow that the moment any difficulty arises and the moment anything comes that contradicts anything, it's like their faith is so easily shaken because their character is so shallow that the time any negative thing happens, they turn completely away from God and they go back to the old person. But Joel Barker has a great quote. It says, vision without action is a dream. Action without vision is simply passing the time. But action with vision is making a positive difference. You could really say it like this. You could say it like this. Convictions without action is a dream. When I have convictions but I don't place any action behind them, all I'm doing is dreaming about who I could be. But I'm never going to be the person that God's called me to be. Action without conviction is simply passing the time. I could be a Christian but without conviction, and I could say that I'm walking the walk, But what walk am I really walking if I don't have real convictions about who I am? If I don't have any convictions about who I am as a Christian, then all I'm doing is just walking a walk, but I'm not walking the walk. So action without convictions is simply passing the time. But action with conviction is making a positive difference. Because I'm truly then becoming the person that God called me to be. You know, I pray that Mark 4:17 does not represent anybody in this room. I pray that Mark 4:17 has nothing to do with any single one of you. Because I pray that you have character deep enough to receive a message, be able to apply it to your life. And then when tough things come, because the devil does not want you to succeed. The thing he wants most for you is to watch you fail. Because if he can get you to fail, he can get anyone to fail. It becomes really, really easy. Because when you fail, then guess what? Man, all those Christians, they're all just hypocrites. It doesn't take all of us being hypocrites to be labeled as hypocrites. It takes one of us being a hypocrite. And then we all get that label. Number 3, when do you share your beliefs? That says a lot about your real character. Who are you? When do you share your beliefs? Luke 8:39 says this. He's talking to his disciples. He says, go home. Oh, no. This isn't the one he's talking to his disciples. He says, go home, tell everything God did in you. He heals a man. The guy gets so excited he wants to follow Jesus. And Jesus says, no, I want you to follow me, but you can follow me somewhere else. Go home. Tell everything that God did in you. So we went back and preached all over the town everything Jesus had done in him. When do you share your beliefs? When do you share your beliefs? You know, has God actually really done anything in you? Has He changed you at all? You know what's incredible about God is He's a gentleman. He gave us free will from day one. So you can accept Him in your life, but you have to make choices every single day. You have to choose to allow Him to be Lord over your life, not just Savior. You have to choose to allow Him to lead you, not just to allow Him to move out. Every now and then I listen to what He has to say. So is there anything for you to even really preach about? And if you begin to think and you think in your life and you begin to think, you know, I don't really have anything to exclaim. I don't really have anything that I can say, man, God has done this in my life. You need to begin to ask yourself the question, why is that? You know, 99% of us are never going to contract some kind of life-threatening disease where we really have to have God come through for us in the flesh. Most of us in this room, that will never happen. But what I feel like I know, what I feel like I've confirmed over 26 years of living, is that the people who come out of those kind of situations and the people who make it through those kind of situations are the ones who've had little things where they've really had to trust God over and over and over again. You know, God's principles are incredible, and they follow you whether you're a Christian, whether you're not a Christian. And one of God's principles is, if you're faithful with little, I'll make you ruler over much. And that's, you know, we apply that so often with finances, and it does apply to finances. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I think a lot of times it also applies to our faith. That we confirm God and we confirm our faith in God. A lot of times it starts with little things, starts in the minute. And then as we go, we kind of build and it builds and it builds and it builds. But if we never build our faith, we still have this little baby faith. We've got this little baby-sized faith. And we need God so desperately. We need a giant-sized faith. It's real tough to build that in 6 months, in 8 months, in a year. It takes a lifetime of building that faith. When do you share your beliefs? St. Francis said we must all preach the gospel, but if necessary, then use words. We live a life that literally preaches the gospel every single day of our lives. No, we never have to say a word. Contagious literally means just like a disease. When I have a disease and I'm sick, man, I'm coughing, I'm sneezing, and all of those germs begin to go throughout everywhere I go. Everywhere I move, those germs are following me because everything I do, it's like, man, I'm coughing, and those germs are going out. It should be the exact same with our Christian walk. We should be so contagious that everywhere we go, we just can't help gushing Jesus. We just can't help gushing who He is and what He's done in our lives. Because when you're contagious, it's not anything you're trying to do. You're not trying to spread disease. It just happens. It's the same thing with our Christian walk. It's the same exact thing. We're not trying to spread Jesus. It's just, hey, I'm just living life, and that's what happens. And when you get to the point where you're no longer consciously thinking, man, I really need to live Jesus today. And guess what? You're just living Jesus. That's where we all need to be, because that's where true contagious Christians, that's the mode we should operate in, where we never are even really consciously thinking, and I've really got to show this person what a Christian looks like. We're just doing it. Number 4 is, where are you a Christian? You know, that question ties into 3 very similarly, but it really is a different question. 2 Thessalonians 1:11 in the New Living says, so we keep on praying for you. This is Paul talking to the church. He says, asking our God to enable you to live a life worthy of His call. May He give you the power to accomplish all good things your faith prompts you to do.